Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Yakima OverHaul HD Ladder Rack adjustable system on our 2022 Ram 2500. You do have a pretty big bed on the 2500 here, but if you're looking to transport some items that are maybe just a little bit too long, like ladders, lumber, maybe even a couple kayaks, a ladder rack like this is going to let you do that. This ladder rack is very versatile. It's able to support up to 500 pounds. It's also rated for off-road use, but it will drop that weight rating down to 300 pounds. And you can adjust the height according to what you need. In our case, we have it all the way up, but we'll show you a little bit more about how that works. Adjusting the ladder rack is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is loosen up these bolts with the provided 6mm Allen wrench, and then you can slide it up and down according to your needs. I will say that you do have to come underneath here and loosen up the actual bolts on the crossbars themselves so that they slide, because it is all sort of locked together. And if you try to move this up and down, as you can see, it's angled, so the lengths won't work out and you might end up bending or breaking something. On the crossbars themselves, each end cap does have a spot for you to tie down things that you're storing on your ladder rack. It's nice that those are built in. Additionally, you can see here that there is a slot for your T-track accessories as well. So if you do have accessories that use a T-track, you can fit them on the crossbar. I will say these HD bars are a little bit thicker than maybe some of the other crossbars on the market. So most of the accessories with clamps will still fit, but it's something to consider for your accessories at home. Again, these ladder racks are super versatile. Starting with these on the tower here, these mounting points will allow you to fit side rails on the ladder racks themselves to get a little bit more storage. Additionally, you can see that there are anchor points on the towers themselves for more places to strap and tie things down. There's also bottle openers down here if that's something that you are interested in. And one of the typical drawbacks of using ladder racks like these are if you want to have a tonneau cover on, they might not work very well together, but this ladder rack does have an adapter kit that allows you to use it with your tonneau covers. With the crossbars at their full height, it will add a little bit of height to your vehicle total. To give you an idea of how much, I'll try to measure from crossbar to the top of our roof. So just straight out, I think comes in at roughly 9.5 inches of total height added to your car. So just keeping that in mind if you want to leave these on while you're storing it in your garage or anywhere where there might be low clearance issues. On the crossbars here, you can see there's a bit of overhang to give you an idea of just how much. In our case, it's about 13 inches of total overhang, and it does seem like maybe it's adding some width to your vehicle, but if you come straight down, you can see that it doesn't actually add that much distance to the end because it does extend out a little bit on the bed of your truck. The construction of the ladder rack is aluminum with a black powder coat finish, which is going to help them hold up better to weather, rust, corrosion, things like that. As you come down here, you can see that there is a locking core. There's one on either side of the rack, so if somebody wants to come and take this off your vehicle, they will not be able to without the key. One of the nicest features that this ladder rack offers is how easy it is to put on and take off. So we already have our lock core removed and we have both of our bolts loosened up. As you can see from the base, all you have to do is lift it up and out. They're both still pretty light and they're both still very easy to remove. Again, just making sure that you have these unthreaded enough to the point where the base will release the feet of the towers. They just come up and off. Super simple, super straightforward. The installation of the actual roof rack system is also pretty straightforward. You can check out how we did that now. To start the install, first we want to make sure that we have everything we're going to need, starting with the bigger things like the towers and the feet where they're going to sit on the bed. We have our 4 clamps, we have our 4, 6, and 10mm Allen wrenches respectively, lock core, 2 keys, and we have all the hardware we're going to need for our clamps. We already have the other ladder set up. We're also going to be using the 78-inch crossbars in our case, starting the whole process by removing this end cap. To get our end cap off, we'll use our 4mm Allen wrench, just fit it in and unthread it. And then we can slide this off and we'll slide these plates down. Doesn't really matter where they go for now. We'll have to adjust those later. Just fit them in and then we could put our end cap back on and thread it back in. Next, we'll get our bases set up. So for the front side of our assembly, we have the locking side on the driver's side. For the rear, we're going to have a non-locking side. You can tell because this one just threads. The other one will have a post that the lock core will actually sit on. You'll see it when we get that one installed. For now, we just place it roughly where we want it to go. We'll come back, adjust that, and get the clamp set up next. To set up the clamps, we'll first fit one of these square washers into where the clamps thread. They'll be able to slide back and forth. And then we fit our clamps underneath, making sure they get behind the liner in our case and the rails. And then we can drop one of these bolts in, thread it in place. We won't thread it all the way down because we might have to adjust where we have it in the back. So just enough that it won't fall through for now. Next, we'll get our second clamp figured out. We can go, it seems like pretty much wherever back here. The liner doesn't seem to be affecting us too badly. Again, just dropping one of those square washers into place. And we'll thread it in loosely again. Once we're happy with where we have it, we'll come back and we'll tighten these both up. They recommend trying to set the clamps as wide as you can. In the front, we definitely could not do that because of the liner, but in the back we can. So from this point, we'll just get the 10mm Allen wrench back and we'll thread these all the way in on the front and the back. And after we get these threaded to where we're happy with how tight they're holding, we can get the other side installed as well. We'll move over to the passenger side base now. We measured from the end of the base to the end of our bed on either side to make sure that we had it in the same place. Again, making sure that the passenger side has this lock core. On this case, we'll go ahead and get the bolts in. Same process as the last one. Now that we have our bases on, we will get the towers fitted into the bases. First on our passenger side by fitting the 4mm Allen wrench in, and then we can hand unthread it till we get to the point where it opens up enough that we can get our tower, tilt it in, close it down. We can hold it with our hand for the most part until we get it threaded in, and then we'll complete it with the 4mm Allen wrench again. Move to the next side. It's basically just the same thing. On the driver's side base, we'll use the 6mm Allen wrench to loosen up this bolt here, and then again hand thread it till it opens up enough to the point that we can get our other tower in. Same process, just tilt it, slide it in, and then we can close it up, hand thread it until we get to the point where it's secure enough that we can complete it with the 6mm Allen wrench. Now, because of how the system works, we do have to raise the towers up before we get the crossbars on. So to do that, we'll start just by loosening all these bolts using our 6mm Allen wrench until we get to the point where the towers will actually allow for them to slide up. We do have to loosen all 4 of them, as I found. I thought maybe you could get away with just loosening 1 or 2 and it would slide up. You can see I have the first 2 completely out and it still won't move. So coming down to the back side, the same exact setup, just 2 of these bolts that you can loosen with the Allen key, and then you can slide the whole thing up to match ours on the front side, which we just have all the way up. And you can hand thread them back in as much as you can and tighten them back down with the Allen wrench. Now we have both of our towers set up at the height that we want them, so we can get our crossbars installed. I like to actually do it upside down at first, just to make sure that we have the crossbars evenly spread out. You can take a closer look and see that there are actually markings on the bottom side of the crossbars that have a ruler that you can see where you are on either side. Once we have the measurements where we want them to be, you can flip our crossbar over, doing our best to not shift it around too much. We might have to double check the measurements again on the bottom. But once it's in place, we have to slide these plates back in that we did at the first step, line them up with the holes, and hand thread them in. I like to just get one in place to keep the plate secure, and then we can get the other one fitted under here. And that one's a little bit more difficult to hand thread just because it has to go further in, but we'll get our 6mm Allen wrench and tighten these up just like that. and we'll repeat this process again on the passenger side. Once you have both of those bolts tightened up, everything's in place, and now we can complete the installation by putting this lock core on, just fitting it on the end there, getting the key that's provided, and locking it up. Once we've locked this up, that's it for the install. Both the front and the back are all set up and ready to go.